friends, and welcome to the Knit, Knot, and Weave podcast. My name is Dorothy, and I am coming to you from Columbia, Maryland. I know it has been a while, but a lot has happened to me in the last few weeks, and I do have some knitting to share, but not a lot. I have finished a couple of projects that you saw not in my last episode because that was all my scrappy stuff, but the episode before. But like I said, a lot has happened, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I would like to thank everybody who commented on my last video. Great suggestions for my blanket. So thank you. And we will get to the giveaway in a little bit. But I wanted to share today my experience from Woolen Folk and Rhinebeck. I won't go into great detail because I'm sure you've heard enough from some other podcasts. But I do have some finished objects. I do have a few works in progresses to talk about. I'm going to share just a few things of what I've purchased lately, and then I'll let you know what's been happening. Okay? So first off, we'll talk about what I'm wearing. This is one of my finished objects. It is the Weekender by Andrea Mowry, and I made it with Malabrigo Rios. It was all knit from my stash, so I had to do a gradual fade up to the top here. And you can see a little bit of a demarcation here, but it's okay. I didn't have enough, and I really wanted to use my stash. I did make it a little longer on the back panel because I'm meaning to wear this with leggings, so I wanted it more of a tunic style. And I did the gradual fade up. I did not do as much positive ease as the pattern called for because I didn't think I needed that for my shape. But I feel like it fits nicely the way it is. Yeah, it's a little loose here, but not so boxy that it makes me look like a square. The other modification I made, and I think I need to fix it, is I put armholes. Or I'm sorry, not armholes. Duh, of course you need armholes for a sweater. But thumb holes. But I think I want to take out the edging and do a little bit more of the ribbing. I don't think I made enough. But anyway, I really like how it came out. It's very comfortable, very nice to wear against the skin, and I am very, very pleased with my first bottom-up sweater. Now, I know this is I shouldn't say a very old pattern, but it's been out for a while. I'm a little slow on the uptake for this pattern, but I am really, really pleased. I like the boat neckline. I think it fits nicely. The drop shoulders they don't go down too low, so I don't feel like I have a whole lot of extra fabric under my arms. So I am actually quite pleased with the way this turned out. I will have all the modifications that I made. Not that there was a whole lot, but they will be up on my Ravelry page. And if I didn't share that, you can find me on Ravelry as Phelia, Pheelya. And you can find me on Instagram as Knit, Knot, and Weave. So how many of you guys have made No. How many of you have made bottom-up sweaters? I have not knit a whole lot of sweaters for myself. I've knit many baby sweaters for my nieces, but I have not knit a whole lot of sweaters for myself. I've made one top-down sweater, 2 cardigans, 3 cardigans, and 1 bottom-up sweater. So, I don't know why I keep saying so. So, here we go again. So, the reason why it has been a little while since I have knit is because Rhinebeck weekend. I was supposed to leave Thursday after work and head up. I had a room reserved at, I think it's called Jenny's Manor. Um, Tammy from Cinematic Skeins told me that's where a bunch of them were staying, so I managed to get a room there. And I was supposed to be hanging out with Tammy from Cinematic Skeins, Aquila and Johnny Bow from Lefty Knitter Podcast, Chevis and Dan from Chevy Rail's Stuff Room. Who else was there? Oh, Jessica from Tea and Biscuits, my bud from Virginia. I think somebody else was there. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. What is her name? So Wednesday, I had brought my car into the shop. I had a 2005 Toyota Corolla, but Toyotas go for a while. They take a beating. So anyway, I had put it into the shop Wednesday just to do a basic oil change, for them to check the tires. And then I asked them to check, all the belts and the timing belt and all that stuff, because I was taking a trip up to New York. And at the time, my Toyota had 215,000 miles on it. And I just wanted to make sure that it was good for the road. Picked it up Wednesday evening, and he said, your car is in great shape. You're probably going to have it, for another 50 to 100,000 miles, barring anything major happening. So I was very, very pleased to hear that, because I really did not want to purchase a new car in this economy. Well, apparently that was not the plan for me. Thursday morning, it was raining, and I was driving to work, and I was probably about 20 minutes from work, so I was probably about halfway. And there was an accident on the road, and the car in front of me, I didn't realize there was an accident up ahead, but the car in front of me stopped short. I put on my brakes. Unfortunately, I did not have anti-lock brakes, and my car slid right into the truck in front of me. And I'll put a picture up here of what my car looked like. And needless to say, it got totaled by the insurance company. And I was not a happy camper. It's probably been, almost 40 years since my last accident. So I was a little rusty on what needed to be done. I was shaken up. I was fine, check all your body parts and you're fine. Was getting out of the car when, boom, a police officer was right there. And that's how I learned that there was another accident right down the road, because he was at that accident when he saw our accident happen. So he came up to check on us. And then an accident happened behind me. Yeah, so 3 accidents in a row that day. So needless to say, it was an ordeal. If you can avoid it right now, do not have an accident, especially if you are in the Columbia, Maryland area. And the reason why I say that is because it was almost a week before I was able to find a rental car. Everybody was out of rental cars. I understand from when the pandemic happened, when everything was shut down, a lot of these car rental places sold off their cars, and so they don't have the big inventory that they're used to having. And then when I called, at least, I swear to you, at least 10 to 12 different enterprise that were within a 25-mile radius of my home. And I had to use Enterprise because that's the company that my insurance deals with. They were all out of cars, every single one of them. And one of the people said to me that it's mainly for reasons like mine. People have accidents, or people's cars are in the shop, and due to the supply chain, parts aren't coming in on time, and so they have to extend their use of their rental car. So, needless to say, I had no way of getting to Rhinebeck. I texted I texted a friend of mine who was also heading up to Rhinebeck, a coworker of mine, not in my building, but a coworker in the sense that she's a media specialist at another high school. And I texted Stephanie and I said, well, Stephanie, it looks like I'm not going to be able to go. And I explained the situation to her, and she was kind enough and she offered me a ride. Turns out that we found out that our parents live about 15 minutes away from each other in New York. I mean, it couldn't have been more perfect. So I was at Stephanie's mercy for the weekend. I was thankful that she was going up. I was more than glad that she offered me a ride. Unfortunately, because I was driving with her, I had to cancel my reservation at Jenny's Manor, which was sad because I was really looking forward to hanging out with my friends for the weekend. But I'm not one to put somebody else out of their way just so I can do something. So Stephanie was being kind enough to offer me a ride. She was being kind enough to take me up to Woolenfolk, because she was going to Woolenfolk as well. And she was picking me up Saturday morning so that we can go to Rhinebeck. So we went up to Rhinebeck. We came home Sunday. I had to scramble to find a ride into work on Monday. And then Monday afternoon at about 2 o'clock, I got a phone call that there was a car ready for me at the rental place right around the corner from my house. But I had to get there by 4 o'clock because they close at 4 o'clock. And Monday is usually our meeting day. So the coworker that drove me in couldn't drive me there because he had a meeting that went until 3:45. And I do not live 15 minutes from home. So I managed to ask my assistant if she would drive me up. And she was very kind, and she did. And I picked up my car. And then I found out that my car was being totaled. So I had to start shopping for a new used car. And let me tell you, when you don't have a whole lot of time to look for a car, it really sucks. You're doing all of your shopping online. So in my mind, I wanted to stick with the Toyota. It had been good to me. I have owned 3 different cars in my life, aside from the ones that obviously I used when I was home with mom and dad. But I had a Pontiac Sunbird. That was my very first car. And that one lasted me until about 219,000 miles. And the only reason why we gave it up is because I was living in Georgia at the time and we were moving up to Maryland, and I didn't think the car would make the trip. And we didn't want to get a trailer for it because we already had a big U-Haul to bring all of our stuff up. And then I purchased a Honda Accord, which I really, really did like. Unfortunately, the transmission went on me, and because it was over 100,000 miles, Honda wasn't replacing it, and they wouldn't acknowledge that there was anything wrong with it. They weren't giving me any money for it. They'd be happy to put in a new transmission for about $5,000, which I did not have. But I did find someone who rebuilds transmissions, and he put one in. And it was for about less than half the price. And my car ran for a few more years. And then lo and behold, Honda came out and said, oh, yes, we do have a transmission problem. If you had your transmission replaced by us, we will gladly refund you the money. But because I had my transmission replaced by somebody else, I was shit out of luck. And then I had the 2005 Toyota Corolla. And like I said, it went to 215,000 miles before my accident. So in my mind, I was only looking at Toyotas. I didn't have time to do a whole lot of research on other companies. And so I was looking at Toyotas. And then I have two very good friends who have Hyundais. They both have Hyundai Sonatas. And I talked to them, and they said they're very good cars. And if you keep up with the maintenance on those cars, they're meant to last just as long as Toyotas. So then I started looking at Toyotas and Hyundais. Needless to say, the price of used cars is outrageous right now. But luckily, somebody up there was smiling down upon me, and I just happened to check out a Toyota dealership that I think probably that day had posted a 2013 white Hyundai Sonata, 2013, with only 31,000 miles. And I jumped on it. I called them that day, asked to see if I can come up and see the car. I went up, we looked at it. It was in mint condition. It was definitely somebody's grandma and grandpa's like Sunday church car. It was totally clean on the outside. There was no dents. Totally clean on the inside. No dents on the outside. And there was a piece of chipped paint on the trunk, but they were going to buff it out and repaint it for me because they were planning to do that before they put it up on the market anyway. And so now I am the proud owner of a white Hyundai Sonata. If any of you have white cars, how do you keep them clean? Because I feel like every day I want to go through the car wash and I just can't do that. But anyway, so that was my saga, and that's why what has been taking up most of my time and why I haven't been able to do a whole lot of knitting or a whole lot of podcasting. Then I went up to Rhinebeck. I had a wonderful, wonderful time in Rhinebeck. I was able to meet up with some podcasting friends. Stephanie and I were at Wool & Folk, and we were walking around at the vendors, and then we went and got a drink, and we were going to head over to the podcasters patio. And I was just sort of, looking around, trying to see if I could find some of my other friends. And all of a sudden, Aquila comes running down the hill and grabs me in a big bear hug. She's like, I didn't think you were going to make it. Because I had texted those guys to let them know that I probably wasn't coming because I'd had a car accident and my car was totaled. So it was really nice to see her and Johnny, and Hazel was there, and she's a doll. So it was nice talking to them, and then seeing Shevis and Dan and Tammy and Jessica. I also got to meet I can't think of her name right now. Oh my God. Pretty Twisted Yarns. Why is her name escaping me? Oh my God, I feel so bad. I can't believe her name is escaping me right now. Anyway, she was there, and I got to give her a big, big hug because she lost her grandmother not too long ago, and I just had to give her a big hug because it's never easy losing someone you love. While I was there, I did get to meet Michael from Piece for Piece Crafting, which was a lot of fun. He gives the best hugs. And then I quickly got to meet Chip and Aaron, but Stephanie had to head home because she was having a dinner with her mom and her cousins. So I was like, hi, Chip and Aaron. Bye, Chip and Aaron. I got to run. And they were just like, what? Okay, bye. So we left. And then we went up Saturday. And I had so much fun. We didn't head up first thing in the morning, but we headed up pretty early. And because of Stephanie's mom, we were able to park at a handicap spot. And so she took her walker, which had a nice little seat on it. She didn't want to take her walker, but Stephanie forced her to. And a little while later on, she thanked her because she realized that she now had a seat, so she'd be able to sit down and rest whenever she needed to. And we had a blast. We went around to a couple of the buildings. Believe it or not, I bought nothing at Rhinebeck. I did buy a couple of skeins at Wool and Folk, which I will share with you when we do acquisitions, but I bought nothing at Rhinebeck. I went to Rhinebeck Saturday knowing A, I wasn't going to have a lot of time, and B, I really wasn't going to be looking for purchases because I had people I wanted to see and hug and meet. So as I was shopping, I did get to meet, well, I shouldn't say I get to meet her. I met her at Maryland Sheep and Wool, but I got to see Vanessa again from the Nitty Witch. And I got one of her little stitch markers that I believe has little jingle bells on it. So I'm looking forward to using that. And then I got to see my friends, Tammy and Jessica and Aquila and Johnny and Chevis. And Tammy gave me one of her stickers, one of her new stickers for her new logo. She's over at Cinematic Skeins. If you haven't checked out their podcasts, they're really great women to go watch. Definitely go watch Lefty Knitter podcast. She has a very unique way of doing her podcast. She'll broadcast, she will record. I cannot speak today. She will record a couple of days during the week and then mash it all together and post it on Sunday. I don't know how with a little one she finds time to record all week long or post every week, but she does it somehow. And then I did get to finally meet and talk with Aaron and Chip from Fiber Hustle. And I did get one of their lovely little stitch markers. So I was very pleased about that. I unfortunately missed the first meetup on the hill because I was standing in line for, yes, the apple cider donuts. So unfortunately, although Maddie and Kristen, gosh, my brain is not working today. Probably because I had a migraine this morning. Anyway, I missed the opportunity to meet Maddie and Kristen. So I'm very sad about that. But there will be other opportunities, I'm sure. And I do get to Zoom with them. So that was fun. But now I'm going to move on to other finished objects. So the weekend after the New York Sheep and Wool Festival, or Rhinebeck, I had my fall retreat with my knitting group, of which I'm the organizer of. So that was a whole nother ordeal for a week. Getting ready for all that, making sure all the payments were made and stuff like that. So I did manage to finish a few more projects while I was there. So the first thing I finished was another mindfulness shawl, which I made out of Malabrigo Arroyos that I've had in my stash. This is an unknown colorway. I think it was probably one of their test colorways from many years ago. And it's a purpley and green. It almost looks like, reminds me of irises, I think. But this is a lovely, very potato chippy pattern where you're just, knitting, knitting, knitting. And then you have this really fun not I-cord. My brain is not functioning today. Picot edging almost all the way around. And so this is just long enough to wrap around your neck twice. And this is my second mindfulness shawl. I will post a link to this pattern in the show notes below because you cannot find it on Ravelry. It's not sold on Ravelry. So my other one I've been wearing quite a lot lately, so I'm happy to have another one in another color. But I think it fits perfectly on my neck. It's not too bulky when I wear a jacket. So I'm rather pleased with this one. So that was the first, or actually the second finished object, since my shirt is the first. And then next up, I jumped on the Sophie scarf bandwagon. And I thought I'd make one for my mother because I had this lovely blue yarn in my stash that I had already pulled out for my aunt's shawl, but it didn't work right. So I had, this was a fingering pure silk from Neighborhood Fibers, along with leftover mohair and silk from Pearl Soho. They're Tussock, T-U-S-S-O-C-K, I think is the base name. Anyway, it is a 60% mohair, 40% silk. So it's got a little less mohair, so it's not as, it's a little bit finer, a little bit softer feeling than regular mohair. And I really, really enjoyed this pattern, but I made it completely wrong. You ever do one of those where you read a pattern and you say, okay, I got this. This is pretty simple. You increase, then you go, and then you decrease. You look at your skein, weigh it. When you're halfway, you start your decreases. Well, I don't know what I was thinking. But I got to a point, and somehow, I don't know if I read a different pattern and compared something later on, but in my mind, I had this notion that I had to get to a specific number of stitches, and then I would knit, and then I would decrease. But for those of you that have knit the Sophie scarf, you know that it's a mini triangle. You go wider, and then you decrease. So mine's a little bit different. I got to I'm telling you, I don't know what other pattern I read, but I got to a certain number of stitches. I think it was 36, 38, something like that. And then I just knit straight. And then when I had a little bit left, I started my decreases. But you know what? It doesn't matter. It fits around. It'll fit around my neck twice. I could put a nice little knot in there to hold it in place. It's still wide enough that it covers my neck. It'll keep me warm, or I should say it'll keep my mother warm because I'm giving this to her. Because this would definitely be a color for her. And this was a nice quick pattern, so I might be making a few more of these before Christmas, but I don't know because due to everything that I have been dealing with, it's really cut into my knitting time, so I have to change some of my knitting plans. And that was actually the first project that I finished when I was on my knitting retreat. I know I'm jumping around. I am so sorry, folks. So another project that I finished was this shawl. Oh, shoot. And of course I don't have the pattern here, so I can't remember the name of it, but I will put it down at the bottom. But the yarn that I used is yarn that I dyed, and this is a merino silk cashmere blend. I used one skein, and then I used, I believe this is Madeline, it's either Madeline, I think it's Madeline Tosh's tart, because it was leftover, so I didn't have the skein. So this is a marriage between knitting and crocheting, and I really like how this turned out. So again, it's another potato chip type knitting until you get to the crochet part, because you're just increasing and increasing. And I really do love, I'm glad I went with my friend's suggestion of the dark red instead of the black. I think it just makes it a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more elegant, a little bit nicer, a little bit different. I think a lot of people are used to seeing black and pink. But I do need to give it a nice blocking so that I can block out all these little picot edges from the crocheting. But this is fun. This will be fun to wear in February for Valentine's Day and all that fun stuff. But that was a lot of fun. I think I did share in my last full podcast that I had to make one alteration when it came to the crocheting, because I am a left-handed crocheter. So in order to get the pattern to show up properly on the right side of the shawl, I had to crochet I had to crochet one row of single crochets across so that I can get to the right edge to start the actual pattern. But it can be done. And then my last finished object is my aunt's shawl. My aunt turned 70 this year, and I wanted to make her something special. So I dug around in my stash, and I had a skein of Expressions Fiber Arts. They're 50-50 base, 50% merino, 50% silk. And then I held it together with Cerulean Sea. Let me try that again. I held it together with Pearl Soho's Tusac mohair and silk, and the colorway is Cerulean Sea. And I made the pattern up as I went. I knew I wanted to do an asymmetrical triangle shawl for her, so I just started with some simple garter and eyelet rows, some stockinette. And then again, I really liked how the crochet border on my pink scarf came out. So I edged it in black. And then I came down here and I put a pretty detailed edging onto it. I did add beads to her shawl. I thought it added a nice touch. And I think she's going to love it. At least I hope she will. But a one-of-a-kind shawl for a one-of-a-kind lady. That's what I'm going to tell her. But it is super, super, oh my God. The 50-50 yarn from Expressions Fiber Art with this mohair is just divine. I think I would want to make a sweater. I would want to make a sweater out of this. I mean, it is just so nice. But that is it for my finished objects. I will tell you a little bit about our retreat. We usually have a retreat every fall. It's a lot of fun. The women that join us always seem to love it. We have a core group that does seem to go every year. And then every year we always seem to have new people that join us. And it's just a weekend of fun. Usually on Fridays, we will go to a local yarn shop. And so on Friday, we went to Magpie. And then Saturday, we usually have a local dyer come in and do a little trunk show for us. So this year, I heard about Barley and Hops Yarn from Aquila's podcast. And I knew from her podcast that she lived up or near the Frederick area. So I emailed her. She had just started her yarn dyeing business in June. And I emailed her to see if she'd be interested. I took a look at her shop and I saw the colors that she was dyeing. And I thought they were colors that the girls that were going on the retreat would really like. And so I contacted her to see if she would be interested. I contacted Jennifer to see if she would be interested in doing a trunk show for us. And she jumped at the chance. So I was very happy to help out a new vendor. And I purchased 2 of her new Peanuts colorway. The first one is Schroeder, which I just love these colors together. I have no idea what I'm doing yet, but that's her logo. She is on Etsy. So that's Schroeder. And then, of course, I had to pick up Lucy, because I mean, Schroeder and Lucy. Such a beautiful, beautiful color blue with little specks of black and the white. Really love this. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I picked up 2 skeins so that at least if it's just going to be a shawl, it will be a nice size shawl. And the girls really seemed to enjoy it. I think, I hope Jennifer did well. I hope she did well. Normally at the retreat, we just sort of get together and knit. We've tried to do lessons in the past, but I think our group just likes to have a nice relaxing weekend. So we do a goodie bag. This year, one of our members, Deb, sewed all the bags for us. There is a lovely shop in Baltimore, and the name escapes me right now, but I will put it in the show notes below, and if I remember during editing, I'll put it over here. But you can donate craft supplies to them, and then they will sell them. And I don't remember, I believe they help schools in Baltimore. I'll have to check on that, but I'll put the information below. And they were having a sale on their fabric for $2 a pound for fabric. So me and my friend Melissa went up there. We tried to scavenge around through all the patterns to try and find nice patterns to make into project bags. So we did that. And then Joanne Fabrics was having a sale on their fabric. So I bought about, 8 or 9 yards of just a simple cream fabric that Deb could use as a liner. And then unbeknownst to me, Deb made a very special bag for me. And she had as many people as she could from our group sign it. And I just about cried. I just thought it was so sweet. They have beads that say thank you, beads that say CSK for Columbia Sip and Knit, P for Pearl, K for Knit. What does this one say? Decrease, increase, knit, Columbia Sip and Knit. So it's a nice heavy, almost canvasy like fabric on the outside, and these beautiful purple flowers on the inside. So I'm very thankful for this group for what they do for me. So this was really, really a nice surprise. And Ellen, I will get you back for this because I was almost in tears opening this. Anyway, we had a lovely, lovely time on our retreat. One of the things we do every Saturday night there is we basically have a white elephant yarn swap. So if you want to participate, you bring a skein of yarn that is priced somewhere between $20 and $30. We put it into a lunch bag, a brown lunch bag, and we close it up. And then everybody chooses a number, and we go in order by the numbers. Number 1 can go pick a bag, opens it up, has to share her skein with everybody. Number 2 goes, and number 2 can either steal the skein from number 1, and then number 1 would have to go pick another bag, or number 2 can go pick their own bag. Now, a skein can be stolen 3 times, and on the 3rd time, it's dead. So if you are the 3rd stealer, you are safe with your yarn. Unfortunately, I felt so bad. Unfortunately, this year, one of our new attendees had picked the number 1 out of the hat, and she's a fairly new crocheter, and she doesn't know a whole lot about indie dyed yarns. And she kept opening bags, and of course we had a really nice turnout for yarns this year. It was, I mean, not that we haven't in the past, but it was almost like everybody had like a favorite color in there. It was really something this year. And I have some video clips that I'll put at the end of this when we're done. But poor Carla, her yarn, every time she opened a bag of yarn, she kept stealing, and she was new to the game, and she felt bad about stealing yarn from somebody else, so she kept going to bags, and we were like, no, Carla, you could steal, it's okay. But she's just a sweet, sweet person, and she just couldn't do it. But I think we're going to make a rule that from now on, nobody new can have number 1, because we felt so bad for her at the end. I'm sorry, Carla, but I hope you had a good time. So that was my last 4 weeks in a nutshell. So I think for now, I will move on to the winner of this beautiful skein of bulky yarn that is called Love is Love. And in light of recent events, it seems to be a very appropriate giveaway right now. My heart is broken for what's going on in this country right now. I mean, we have had a mass shooting every day for the last 6 days. And I can't talk about this right now. Anyway, I'm very, let's move on. Okay. So last time I asked you guys to to leave a comment and pick your favorite Girl Scout cookie. And so I do not have another phone because I'm recording on my phone. So I did do a random comment picker, and I will put a screenshot of it up here, but the winner is Saki Nana Alice. So Saki Nana Alice, if you are watching, please send me an email. My email is in the link below. It's knitnotandweave@gmail.com. And let me know your mailing address so that I can mail this lovely skein out to you. And in her comment, she writes, "Hi there, the Thin Mint cookies are the best by popular vote." Absolutely, they are my favorite too, especially frozen. But I tell you, I love the chocolate and the vanilla ones just as much. Also, I wanted to add that I'm still working on my Fair Isle scarf as a scrappy project. Go girl. Fair Isle, I haven't even attempted that yet. Yes, I have in a hat. I've not attempted it on a sweater. I love the three strand scrappy hats. I think that's next on my list. Cheers. P.S. I would put numbers in a bag and draw to decide the width of your strips. So if you watched my last episode, if you watched my scrappy episode, I was sharing my jelly roll blanket, and I was toying with the idea of having my strips be all different widths. And so her suggestion was to put numbers in a bag and just randomly pull it out. I believe another commenter, I can't remember your name, I'm very sorry, but said something about the Fibonacci numbers, which I was actually thinking of using in a different sweater. So anyway, so Soxy Nana Alice, please get in touch with me so I can get your yarn out to you. And now I think we'll move on to whips. So my first working project is actually a test knit, and I only have the gauge swatch done, but at least I swatched, right? So I have to measure this. This is more of my own personal hand-dyed yarn. I was just playing around with colors, and I just loved how this turned out. So I put all those skeins aside and decided I was definitely doing a sweater for myself. So I did a simple swatch. I have it down, and I have to measure it. And then most importantly, I need to wet block it and then remeasure it before I start. But I'm looking forward to that, because what got me on that sweater was the sleeves, and I cannot wait. But we will move on. So here in this was our retreat bag from last year. And it's a nice sturdy canvas bag. But in here I have a pair of socks from Bumblebee Acres Yard. And this is their coquette base, which is cordell and nylon. And I really, really like this base. I'm looking forward to getting these socks finished and see how they wear compared to my other ones, but I feel like they're going to be a little bit sturdier than merino socks. But these colors are very different for me, but I love the orange and the turquoise. It's kind of doing a little micro striping, which I think is fun too. But you see the little zigzaggy there, so that's fun. I'm still working on perfecting the perfect sock for my foot. So I have put these stitch markers every 10 rows so that I know how many rows I need before I do my heel. And I got that idea from the Crazy Sock Lady. So if you have not watched her, Kate K of the Crazy Sock Lady, she has lots of great tutorials. And she does have a tutorial or a brief episode on what these stitch markers are for and how she uses them. So I will put a link to that below if you guys are interested in using some of the same. Next up, I have in my, I forget, oh, this is an old Delaque bag. And it says Naughty Knitter. And I have my Monster Musselburgh hat in here, which I am almost done with. So I wound up just making a big monster skein, tying all my little minis and scraps together. I'm at the point where I need to switch to double points because I can't get it around my circulars anymore, so that will be done by the next podcast. I think it's neat how this is going to be a mostly red and orange on one side and a little more mixed up on the other. But that will be probably going into a charity knit basket of some sort. Our our knitting group, every year we choose a Title I school in our county, Title I elementary school, and we make hats. And right around Thanksgiving, the first week of December, we bring all the hats to the schools, and then the school gets to give them out to all their kids. The schools love it. The kids love choosing their own hat. Last year, our group, I think we donated 578 hats last year. So it's a lot of fun, and the schools really do appreciate it. Next up, in my Naughty Knitting Sacks, this is one of my favorite bags. It's so nice and big and perfect sweater quantity. Is my half and half wrap. Oh, and I'm in the middle of a row. That's why I'm in the middle of a row. I ran out. Okay. And at the end, towards the end of the row, so I couldn't undo the whole thing. Okay. So here it is. I used Pearl Soho's linen quill. This is a lovely, lovely yarn. Right now they are having a 25% off sale. Hopefully I'll be able to edit this and get it up so that it will still be on sale when you get there. But I did a dark purple and I did a light purple. I did do the German short rows, so there's no delineation line between the two colors. I am tempted to make another one and do the regular short row wrap and turns. That's what they're called, wrap and turns, because it makes a nice little like detailed line that looks nice. But anyway, I believe I casted on more stitches than the pattern called for. At least that's what I'm guessing. I did go up in needle size because I am on a size 5 and these are my signature needles. I believe the pattern called for a 3. Do I have it in here? Yes, I do. Yes. So the original pattern called for a 3. I felt like it was a little too tight, and so I went up to a 5, and I really like the drapiness of it. And I actually am debating on making a sweater out of this for myself. So that's nice. So I actually ran out of the purple. I found somebody on Ravelry who had like a little bit less than half a skein left over. So I bought that from her. And luckily you cannot see the difference. So I know I'm going to run out of this light purple, but luckily I have enough of the dark purple left that I think I'm going to be able to put in some stripes on this side in the darker purple to match, and then I should have enough. I don't know how my scrubbies got into this bag. But anyway, so that is my half and half wrap. And I am tempted, like I said, to start another one in different colors for myself. And I'm thinking I might start one for my mom for next year. We'll see if that works out. And then the last whip I have to share with you is my niece's sweater. I have the sleeves half done. I am actually going to be able to see her this weekend because I want her to try it on before I finish the sleeves. So this is the crossback sweater by Knititude. Like I said, it's all sewn together now. And I have both sleeves approximately at the same length. And I want her to try it on before I do any more decreases to see how she likes it. Because the last time I made her a sweater, I had to take out the sleeves twice because once she wanted them tighter, then they were too tight and she wanted them looser. I could have killed her. So I'm learning. Before I finish this sweater, she's trying it on. And this was, I'm using my Licca interchangeable needles. I really do love this driftwood. And the yarn, do I have a thing in here? No. Yes. The yarn is actually an Italian yarn. The base is called, but the yarn is called Canada, and the base is Titan Wool. Or maybe the company is called Titan Wool and the base is Canada. I couldn't figure it out. But it is a 70% wool, 30% acrylic mix. And so hopefully this will be done by the next podcast. And hopefully I will get pictures of her wearing it. And so that is all I have in terms of projects. I am thinking of doing Vlogmas again this year. I'm probably going to be only doing it in the evenings as I open up my Advents. I had not planned to do Vlogmas. I also had not planned to purchase any Advents this year. I did want to purchase a skein of an Advent yarn that had the 24 stripes. So I purchased two. The first one I purchased is the Cozy Knitter one. So I still have that in the bag, which I will be pulling out and skeining up so it is ready to be knit on for December 1st. And then it comes with a mini, I guess, if you want to do heels, toes, and cuffs in another color. But I'm looking forward to doing this. And then I also ordered a skein from Freckled Whimsy because I love their yarn. And apparently, unbeknownst to me, because I'm such a goofball and was so forgetful, I bought a second one. And apparently, according to the invoices, where is it? You guys are going to laugh. I bought the first one on April 10th. So that must have been like the day it came out. And I bought it with the mini. And then somehow by April 25th, only 15 days later, 2 weeks later, I don't know where the heck my brain was. 2 weeks later, I ordered my second package. So what I have decided is I am going to give away my second Freckled Whimsy Advent Skein. So if you are interested, this is their 2022 Advent 24 stripes. It is 2 separate 50-gram skeins. So if you are one of those people that have to match your stripes, you'll be able to do that without having to weigh and measure. And I will, if I can't do a full episode, I will definitely do an episode before the end of November to pull the winner. So if you would like to enter the drawing for this Advent skein, please use the words Freckled Whimsy somewhere creatively in your comments. And when I do the random comment picker, I will be able to put in the words Freckled Whimsy, and so it will only choose from the comments that have those words in it. Okay? I don't want to send this to someone who does not want it. So, if you would like to enter the drawing for the Freckled Whimsy Advent 24 stripe sock skeins, because it's 250-gram skeins, please use the words Freckled Whimsy in the comments. Okay. The other Advents that I've purchased, I purchased the Dragon Horde and Yarn Cafe Creations, the mother and daughter partnership. I shouldn't say partnership. The mother owns the Yarn Cafe Creations, and the daughter owns Dragon Horde Yarns. And together, they do an Advent where they split. Half of the skeins are Dragon Horde, half of the skeins are Yarn Cafe Creations. Unfortunately, their names are escaping me right now because they do have a podcast and I do watch it, and yet somehow the names are not in my brain right now. I was very happy when I managed to get a skein of that. I was not supposed to buy any Advent skeins, but I got hooked on Dragon Horde yarns, and so I purchased it. And then I ordered Superfine Yarn Co.'s Advent. I met her and I got to see her skeins in person at Wool & Folk, and that made this decision for me. Bad Dorothy. I wasn't supposed to buy any Advents. And then I watched Kay of the Crazy Sock Ladies last second or 2 or 3 episodes ago. I can't even remember now. Where she talked about the Advents that she purchased, and she shared that she purchased a Christmas Grinch Advent. But what was unique about this Advent is that every mini skein is dyed by a different Canadian dyer. So I will have 25 mini skeins in that Advent, all done by different indie dyers that are Canadian. And when I saw the list, I had to buy it because there were some dyers on there that I had been wanting to see what their yarns would look like in person. And since I don't live in Canada, and it wasn't very easy for me to see them. So I'm very happy. My Advents are all in. So I will be doing Vlogmas this year to share those Advents with you. I did purchase a wine Advent for myself. I found a wine Advent online, and I thought Maryland had changed their alcohol laws so that I could get it shipped to me, but apparently Maryland was still on the do not ship list for this company. I don't know what the deal is, but my parents live in New York, and you can ship anything to New York, and I'm going to New York for Thanksgiving. So I had it shipped to my parents' house, and I will be picking it up this weekend. And then I will be sharing that with you guys as well during Vlogmas. And that is truly all I have for you guys today. Thank you again so much for taking the time to watch this episode. I hope you have enjoyed it. If there is anything you would like to see, especially if you would like to see how I married crochet and knit together on these 2 shawls, I'd be happy to try and figure out how to do a demonstration for that. Or if there's anything else you would like me to chit chat about or share or anything, comment down below. Before we leave, I am going to read the next question from my block, and I am so sorry, but I am going to butcher this name. Benazir Bhutto is the 11th Prime Minister of Pakistan and the first woman to head a Muslim state. And her quote is, "Being nice should never be perceived as being weak. It is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of courtesy, manners, grace, and it should never be construed as weakness." Now, if that isn't a quote to live by, I don't know what is. But the question is, if you could give all human beings one virtue, which would you choose? That's a tough one. One virtue. Be kind. Be kind. Be kind to your neighbors. Be kind to strangers. Be kind to your coworkers. I think if we had a much kinder world, a lot of the craziness that we're dealing with right now wouldn't be happening. So that's what I'm going to go with. The one virtue I wish all humankind could have is kindness. What about you? What's the one virtue you would like to give the whole human race? So, I don't know if there's anything else to share. I'm heading up to New York. I'll be spending Thanksgiving with my parents and my two sisters up there. Actually, my younger sister is having Thanksgiving for her in-laws side of the family. But Friday, we are going to my cousin's house for a full family gathering. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to bring my niece's sweater with me because she will be there. So I'll be able to have her try it on and hopefully get that finished, maybe, before I come home Saturday. We'll see. I don't know if I'll be taking anything else. I'm definitely taking that sweater. Saki Nana Alice, don't forget to email me your mailing address so I can get your skein out to you. If you are interested in the Freckled Whimsy giveaway, please be sure to comment and to use the words Freckled Whimsy in your comment so that I know you do want to be entered into the drawing. School's a little crazy right now. I think the kids are getting a little bit of winter fever. Hopefully these few days off for Thanksgiving will calm them down a bit. It has been interesting seeing how this really is our full, I guess, normal school year. I mean, last year we were still dealing with pandemic issues, and not to say that we're not dealing with pandemic issues, but it's not as severe right now. I'm hoping that the holidays are not going to change that, but we'll see. How about you guys? What are you guys doing for Thanksgiving? Are you hosting Thanksgiving? Are you cooking? Are you going to a potluck? I am actually going to a potluck dinner Saturday night at a friend's house. So basically we're having a Friendsgiving on Saturday evening. We are doing this because my friend Ellen is heading to New Zealand to visit one of her daughters. Her other daughter lives here, but she's going down to visit her daughter who just moved to New Zealand. So she'll be gone for almost 2 months. So this is sort of a last goodbye to her before she goes on her vacation. And I think that is all. I forgot. So I started and then I went off on a tangent. Squirrel. Are you hosting Thanksgiving? Are you doing a Friendsgiving? Are you doing a potluck? Are you going to somebody's house? Are you a turkey type person for Thanksgiving? Are you a ham type person for Thanksgiving? My family's always been a turkey family. God, that could be taken wrong in so many ways. We have always cooked turkey for our Thanksgiving, I should say. I do understand that my mom is making soup this year, and she is making what you would probably know as the Italian wedding soup. So I'm super excited about that because she hasn't made that in a long time. We just call it escarole soup. But I'm looking forward to that, and I'm hoping she makes a lot of it so that I can bring some home and put it in my freezer. Because making those tiny meatballs is a pain in the rear. And so I am looking forward to that. I've already been told that it is a requirement that I will be making my sweet potato souffle when I'm there. So my mom has picked up all the sweet potatoes, and my older sister is already there. She checked to make sure that we had all the spices. My mom's got all the spices that I need for it. So we are good to go in that. And I make a mean sweet potato souffle because I do it all. I do the pecan and brown sugar topping, and then I add the marshmallows too. Because, I mean, it really should be more of a dessert than a meal thing, but ever since I made it one time, and every Thanksgiving I get the, are you making? Are you making? Are you making? You're not coming without it, right? So my claim to fame in my family is sweet potato souffle. And it's not even an Italian dish. Anyway, I'm going to sign off now. I hope you all have an absolutely fabulous Thanksgiving. I hope you spend it with either friends or family that you love. I hope you take the time to say how thankful you are for having them in your life. I am so thankful that you guys spend time with me when I get to put up a podcast. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to like and subscribe so that you can be notified when the next podcast comes up. And it really does help my channel grow when you hit that like and subscribe button, so I do appreciate that. I so appreciated all the comments that I got to read last week and all the suggestions for how to do my jelly roll blanket. And I wish you much, much happiness right now, because we need more of that in the world. So, until the next time we meet, ciao, ciao. Yep.